Hello, BookTube. This is my list of possibilities for the third quarter of Historathon 2023. Historathon is a year-long reading event on BookTube in which participants read history throughout the year. The year is divided into 4 quarters that pretty much have a time period attached to it. So for the third quarter, which runs from July through September, the year dates are 1500 to 1820. So I have 9 books. I'm hoping to be able to get to 6 of them, with the other 3 being alternates, and I'll get to them eventually. So first up is going to be a reread. The Napoleonic Wars by Alexander Mikaberidze. This is a massive history of the Napoleonic Wars with a global perspective. Most histories of the Napoleonic Wars focuses on the European campaigns, but this one looks at not only the European campaigns, but also the campaigns in the Americas, in India, and the rest of the world. I read this in 2020 and really enjoyed it, and really would like to give it a reread because I'm in a bit of a reading slump, not only with fiction, which I have been for years now, but I'm in a bit of one with history too. So maybe a reread will kickstart things, although given its length, I'm a bit cautious because I have a ton of other things I would like to read, particularly in July. There's one mammoth anthology that's going to probably wreck an overly ambitious July reading plans. Anyway, the next book up is also the Napoleonic Wars would cover BookTube at War. And another book that will cover BookTube at War and also would be a Bell Redemption is Our First Civil War by H.W. Brands. So this book looks at the American Revolution through the lens of like Civil War. It basically highlights the fact that most Americans or most colonists were actually opposed to independence, that most of the population were loyalists, at least initially. And Brands looks at that. I read this, or I bailed on it. I'm not entirely sure what month it was I had to go at this book, but I didn't quite get on with it. So hopefully a Bell Redemption will work out. Sticking with the American Revolution, I would like to get to The Last King of America by Andrew Roberts. This is a biography of George III. And sticking with Napoleon, and also BookTube at War, I would like to read another history of the Napoleonic Wars. This is The War of Wars by Robert Harvey. This looks at that long conflict between the United Kingdom and France from the beginning of the Revolution, the French Revolution, through to the final defeat of Napoleon. It's also a massive tome. Moving away from war for a little bit, I would like to get to The Age of Wonder by Richard Holmes. This is a book about the beginning of science. And also maybe The Restless Republic by Keay. This is a history of Britain during the interregnum, or Commonwealth, however you want to call the period of British history after the execution of Charles I and the restoration of Charles II. moving on to biographies, I would like to read something by Robert K. Massie this year. And I think Catherine the Great would be a great place to start. This is a biography of Catherine the Great, one of the Russian empresses. And I would also like to read The Life of Elizabeth I by Alison Weir. This is, of course, a biography of Elizabeth I. And finally, I would like to finally get to something by Adam Zamoyski. This is Holy Madness, which is a history of the Romantic period. So that's my pile of possibilities. I don't know exactly how the breakdown is going to go or when I'll get to any of these. So maybe look for them to appear in like a monthly TBR if I decide to continue with those, which I might, and also weekly reads. So in your booktube, that's all I have for this evening. So thank you. Have a great rest of your evening. And until I see you tomorrow with a tag video, stay safe.